I can assure you he is truly a very sick boy.
I think you mean sick girl.
Hello and welcome to Sick Girl the Podcast. I am your host, Ashley Singleton. Today I wanted to talk about dysautonomia, POTS, and some of these conditions that I deal with. My sick girlies and guys, this episode might be a little bit more dense, but if you're curious about what these are, stay along and listen, and let's get into it. I have a condition called POTS. It stands for Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. A lot of people mistake this condition as a heart condition, which it's not. POTS is a neurological condition. It affects the autonomic nervous system, which is everything you don't think about. So your brain, your eyes, your breathing, your stomach, your heart, like from top to bottom affects your body. So yes, the heart is a big part of POTS. POTS is characterized by when you have a change in postural position, so sitting to standing, you get an abnormal increase in heart rate. So for most people, you're sitting down, you stand up, your body regulates and you're fine. Someone like me who has POTS, I'll stand up and my heart will go from 80 to 140 in a matter of seconds. My blood will pool. I'll get dizzy, vertigo, tunnel vision, hearing loss, and basically feel like I'm going to pass out. And sometimes people even do completely pass out. POTS is really difficult to live with. I feel like some people disagree with this, but this is what I've been told by several of my doctors. When I looked it up online, this is what came up. POTS is characterized by standing up and having your heart rate jump by 30 to 40 beats per minute within a certain amount of time without your blood pressure dropping. And that is what characterizes POTS as POTS. That is not to say that people with POTS don't also have blood pressure conditions. So some of the symptoms of POTS, like I said, top to bottom, they go everywhere. So for your brain, you can have brain fog, memory loss, cognitive issues, headaches, tremors, vision problems. Stomach, you can have nausea, gastroparesis, bloating, obviously heart, which for me is like palpitations, rapid heart rate, chest pains, so on and so forth. So how do you test for POTS? Testing for POTS is one of the worst things. I don't know who came up with this idea to test for POTS, but I don't care for you. If I'm being honest with you, I don't like you at all. To test for POTS, you do what's called a tilt table test. And what they do is they lay you on a table and they strap you in kind of like Frankenstein and they slowly raise you up until you're standing. And this seems really simple, like standing, not a big deal. But for someone with POTS, it's really hard. So they have you standing for 30 minutes and they watch your heart rate and they ask you every 10 minutes what your symptoms are. And for me, in my experience, within the first 5 minutes, my blood pooled to my legs. I couldn't feel from the waist down. I felt like dead weight. And my heart was like 197, got really bad tunnel vision. And by the end, I was sick. The rest of the day, I was out. I've had this done twice by 2 different doctors, and both times they're horrible. It would be like if you gave someone who has celiac a ton of gluten and was like, eat this and let's see if you get sick. A lot of people, I feel like, ask me, why is POTS so popular? One, it's not a good thing, but from my experience, and this is just my experience, I only can speak to what I've been through in my life, been an uptick in POTS since COVID. I didn't have POTS until I got COVID, and for me, they believe that I had genetic markers for dysautonomia and autoimmune conditions, but it took something as strong as COVID. It took a virus as strong as COVID to flip the switch and turn on these autoimmune and dysautonomia conditions. That's how I got POTS. I think you hear that a lot from people. The hard part about POTS is that there are so many different areas that it affects. So you end up with all these different symptoms that seem disconnected. Really confused because I was having severe head pain and my eyes were getting twitchy and rolling in the back of my head and I couldn't track very well. I was reading and my eyes wouldn't keep up. My heart would race and I'd get chest pain. And so you kind of start and you're like, well, who do I see? So then you go see 10 different doctors because everybody specializes and not one person really knows what to do with you. And I found through my experience, several doctors were like, I don't know what POTS is. I've never heard of it. I don't know how to treat you and I don't know what it is. And my brother-in-law at the time was going through med school and he's like, yeah, I think there's half of a chapter on dysautonomia. We don't learn about it that much. Luckily, I live in Utah and there was one doctor who was studying POTS and POTS post-COVID. And I called them and I was like, I'm dying. I feel horrible. You have to get me in. And they were like, okay, we'll put you on the waiting list. We're getting a lot of calls like this. And I was like, okay, how long? And they were 2 years. And I thought to myself, there's no way. There is no way in the world I have to wait 2 years to see this doctor. They'll get me in sooner. It'll be fine. No. 2 years later, I finally see this doctor. At this point, I had already been tested for POTS by a cardiologist. and they had done my first tilt table. Then this lady did more extensive testing because there's different subcategories of POTS. So by this point, I was like floundering. I was like, I'm barely getting off the couch. And here's the hard part when you get diagnosed with POTS. You get your diagnosis, but then you have to kind of go find doctors that specialize in each area of the body but know about POTS. So I had to find a neurologist who knows about POTS. I had to find a cardiologist who knows about POTS. I had to find a GI doctor who understood how POTS could affect my stomach. And it's so hard to navigate. When I was diagnosed with POTS, and most POTS people will get this, it's really frustrating because you get diagnosed and you're like, okay, so what do I do? And they tell you exercise, salt, electrolytes, and water. That's basically what they tell you to do to fix your POTS. And when I first got diagnosed, I was like, lady, I can barely stand up. How do you expect me to work out? And I was like, you can't just tell me to eat more salt and drink water and like send me on my way. Like, I could not work out because they tell you have to do recumbent exercise. So you can either do the bike or you can swim. And I was like, if I swim, I'll have a POTS attack and I will drown and I will die. And if I ride the bike, I'll fall off and die. Like, I was like, there's no way I can do this. I got very lucky because my parents have a friend who's a doctor, and he was like, there's this lady she's a physical therapist for concussions, but she has POTS, and so she's really taken on all these POTS patients post-COVID. She's changed my life. We started really slowly with a workout program, so I would do recumbent bike for like 10 minutes, and I'd have to keep my heart rate under 85, I think, was when I started, or 90, and that was so hard. 2 years, and I now kind of graduated from the recumbent bike to upright walking. As crazy as I thought it sounded in the beginning, working out, salt, electrolytes, and water significantly have helped me manage my POTS. And I will tell you, like, it is exhausting. Just trying to get through the day and manage everything is like a full-time job. So like I mentioned, I have what they call the trifecta, which is POTS, Mast Cell, and EDS. So mast cell is an overproduction of mast cells which produce histamine. So my body produces too much histamine. So sometimes I'll have like an allergy attack where I can get hives and swelling and itching, but there's really no clear trigger. So it could have been anything from a perfume I smelled to something I ate. Mast cell and POTS, they kind of like each other on. So I have what they call urticaria. If I get too cold or if I get too hot, I get hives and I itch really severely. I have something called EDS, which stands for Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and that is a connective tissue problem. I have hypermobile EDS, which means my joints are all hypermobile. It also means that like my connective tissue isn't as strong, so I have to really be careful with my joints. Living with these conditions, I have found, is really difficult because you never know what's going to hit. So sometimes I don't know if what's triggering me today is my POTS or my mast cell. Or I wake up and I feel like I've been hit by a car because my EDS, like the pain in my joints, is so severe. If you have POTS or mast cell or EDS or any chronic condition that just makes getting through the day hard, I feel you, I see you, I hear you, you are not alone. Having these conditions can feel incredibly isolating and lonely, especially because they are invisible conditions. And so people can't really look at you and be like, oh, I see you're sick. They're like, you look fine. But inside you feel like you're dying. And that's why I started Sick Girl, because I felt so lonely. I was like, we just have to let people know that this is hard. I know it's hard, and I don't know if it's going to get better. Like, that's an honest truth. I don't know, but you're not alone. So if you have any questions about POTS, please leave comments. Let me know. I hope I answered it. I hope I explained it in a way that was understandable. And please tune in next time to Sick Girl, the podcast. Have a good day.